So imagine if you have a gun and you want to shoot something. We have an enemy right here and I can shoot it with my mouse, and I can shoot this box and it'll disappear. The way the box works is it has a simple void take damage where it will destroy itself, and the enemy, well, it has a health bar script which I made a tutorial about. You can watch that if you want to on my channel. But then it also have a take damage void where it will take some damage, start the coroutine for the health bar to adjust, and if it reaches 0, it's gonna kill itself. The way I shoot is by using a raycast, which is fine, but I'm using an if statement to check if it's either an enemy or box, because it needs to vary on what function it needs to call. But this is cringe. You can use a more simple approach called interfaces. So an interface is kind of like putting on abilities on a script, and I'll show you how. It'll make sense as soon as I've made this. So I'm gonna make a script called a damage interface, and I'll open it up, and I'll make a public interface, and I'll call it damageable. With this, I can define a void called take damage, which needs to take an argument of a float, which is going to be the damage. And now I've created an interface. So in the interface, it has a requirement to include this take damage function, but it doesn't have a body like you're used to, like this, and then you have some code. But no. With an interface, you just define that this void needs to exist. This damageable interface we can then add on, for example, to a box, like so. And if I'm going to remove this function, now this is going to complain because it doesn't have its idamageable.takeDamage function. I can just right click, quick actions, implement the interface, and then I can define what this can do. And like the box, we're going to destroy the game object. We can do the exact same for the enemy as well with the idamageable interface, and we've already defined what the take damage is, so it should all be good. Oh, I'm sorry, my brother came in. Anyway, now this is going to complain, and that's because now we can actually reference the damage interface instead. So we can have a reference called idamageable, and this is just going to be a damage interface, and it's going to be equals to the hit.collider.getComponent idamageable. Then you can just have a function that checks if it exists by saying it's not equals to null. That means it does exist, and if it does, then we can just say damageable.takeDamage and put inside this damage float. And this will work like a charm. So if I'll go back to my Unity, this will work perfectly, just like it used to before. And now if you put 2 and 2 together, you can see how this is really efficient. Like, if we said you made an RPG, RPGs has lots of enemies. Do you really want to check every single type of enemy you are actually holding? Of course, you could make a single health script which takes damage, but again, with the example with the box, which is an object, it doesn't take damage like living things, like enemies. So it needs to have a different definition. So instead of making different types of scripts where it can take different types of damage, then you can just make a single damage interface which needs to have this void take damage. And then you can just implement it inside a script and define it however you'd like. And then just check for it. By the way, quick thinking, if you think that you can just check for interface like this, you cannot, because it cannot convert the interfaces to a bool. So this is the only way to do it. But yeah, this is really quick tutorial on interfaces. Try and get creative with it. It can really help with repetitive processes. So yeah, that's it. Goodbye.